This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Roberto on the Digital Sportscentre presented by Montana's Barbecue and Bar. And for the second straight day, we are taking the show on the road. I'm at NSL Media Day, but don't worry, we've got plenty of content for you later in the show. But first, we got to start on the ice, because we got a Stanley Cup rematch tonight. And even though the Oilers have been on a bit of a skid lately, as they drop 4 straight, both them and the Panthers find themselves near the top of the standings, with both of these teams firmly in a playoff spot. But tonight is the first time Edmonton has been back since Game 7, which has us thinking maybe we can get a rematch in this year's Cup final. But history tells us not to get our hopes up. In the expansion era, we've seen a repeat of the Stanley Cup just 4 times. And most notably, it's only happened once in the last 40 years. The only positive here for Edmonton is that when it has happened, the original losing team has won the rematch the last 2 times. But still, Stanley Cup final rematches just don't seem to happen very often. History tells us it's actually much more likely for the Panthers to reach the final again. In the expansion era, the reigning champ has returned to the Stanley Cup final 16 times. In comparison, the losing team has returned just twice, those being the Blues in 1970 and coincidentally the Florida Panthers last year. So if Edmonton wants to make history and get back into the Stanley Cup final, they can actually learn something from their opponent in the 2024 Stanley Cup final. But let's be honest, Leaf fans, we don't want to see that rematch. We don't want to see it at all. Time now for some saucy sounds presented by Montana's Barbecue and Bar. And this is real saucy and fresh. Because yesterday we all heard how the Canadian men's coach, Jesse Marsch, defended Canada from all that 51st state talk. As Marsch said, quote, "Lay off the ridiculous rhetoric about Canada being the 51st state. As an American, I'm ashamed of the arrogance and disregard we've shown one of our historically oldest, strongest, and most loyal allies." If you looked in the comments of that post on TSN, you already know I was about it, plus I shared it to mine. It's just exactly what we need to hear from an American right now. And while that sound right there is saucy in its own right, we got some new stuff today. As Canada and Celtic right back Alistair Johnston just spoke to our own Matthew Shinetti about this.
You know, hearing Jesse speak so eloquently would be the best way to describe it. And meaningfully, I think that everyone can really resonate with his words. And I think that he really summarized, how a lot of Canadians feel. And I think that's really something that's important leading into this Nations League tournament for us, is that adding that extra emphasis of, what is going around the world. Because as much as you'd like to say, we're in a bubble, keep politics out of sports and all these different things, that no, we're human beings. We hear everything. This is our country that, people are proclaiming as the 51st state. It's something that you need to stand up and fight for as well. So to hear it come from him, I think was really powerful. I think that that'll get, obviously a lot more attention from not just the Canada soccer fans, but from the rest of the nation. And I think that that's another something that we need to continue to drive on, is that ideally we don't want to have to rely on geopolitics to be a driving force to get people to, out to our games and to really be invested in the Canadian men's national team, the Canadian women's national team. But we got to use this now as extra fuel. And I think that everyone, the entire population, should use this as extra fuel, kind of like we did in the 4 Nations. You saw that with the hockey, how much it meant to the players. It's going to feel the same for us when we're down there in March, down in the U.S. competing for that.
You know what? We've had Alistair on the show before. Great guy, and we love the honesty every single time. Now joined by our gambling guy, Wes Cheng, to talk some ball. Great to see you, Wes.
Hey, great to see you, Marissa.
Okay, Wes, the West is getting wild out there. The Lakers are 8-2 in their last 10 and have won 3 straight. The Nuggets are up to a tie for second in the conference, with their only loss in their last 10 coming from the Lakers last weekend. Looking at the futures market, does anything jump out to you between LA or Denver?
One of them's long, one of them's short. I don't like coming on here telling you to bet a minus 300 bet here, but I think the Lakers pretty much have this division locked up. They have such a big gap over all the rest of the teams. All the other teams in the division are flawed in some way. I like the Warriors, but I just think it's such a huge gap for them to catch up. And I think the Lakers look very motivated to make a run here. But then the other thing I'd bring up, I know OKC is favored. I still think they're supposed to be favored, but the strength of the West is so potent. A team like Denver, I think, deserves more respect than 20% odds to win it all. So at plus 500, they're the second choice. OKC, by far supposed to be a minus, but Denver's right there, and they're playing impeccable ball. So I just keep an eye out for a number like that.
Both teams are in action tonight as the Nuggets face the Bucks, a game you can watch on TSN, while the Lakers host the T-Wolves. You have a best bet from either game?
I think Jamal Murray is in a very good spot here. His point prop is for the taking. Milwaukee as an opponent, it's Damian Lillard. That's the guy you attack on that defense. And if you look at the track record of some of these other point guards that have played them of late, like Maxey, Curry, Hero, all these guys have gone off. Murray is on an electric pace since they had their 3-game losing streak. He's shooting like a 55, almost 50 from 3, 90%. He's on. So in a big-time game like this where they're going to need a good, convincing win, I think he steps up. And that line, I think, is very low for a guy like him.
Wes Cheng, a pleasure as always.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, so as I mentioned off the top of the show, I'm here at NSL Media Day. And while the majority of the content you won't really get to see for a week or so, we thought we'd still take you behind the curtain in the latest edition of Roberto on the Go. How's it always work out the days you have to be up nice and early? There's a snowstorm here in Canada that you gotta navigate through to get to your destination. We are interviewing the ladies of the Northern Super League today, and I'm doing DSC. And we're back in the room with Mike. Wow, we're just kind of prisoners staying here, but that's okay. It gives us time to bond and talk about our Nana's lasagna. I love media days because we get to meet players that we've always wanted to meet. Good to meet ya, Marissa.
Hi, Emma. Sorry, shocked.
Toronto connection.
That's crazy.
But what's important to me is finding coffee. We found it plus some fruit. Let's go. And now I'm really jazzed up because I got caffeine and nuts. Let's go. Love getting to be a part of making this content for TS, and it's always so rewarding. Now, Mike and I are about to embarrass ourselves because we're thinking at this moment we're getting free lunch. Box lunch. Okay, JK, we're actually not being fat. Mike and I are buying our own lunch today. And that's not making assumptions, kids. Absolutely hammered those burgers. Now it's back to work. So yes, you know what? We braved the weather here in Canada to get the goods, all right? And meeting this new league is very exciting. Love chatting with all the girls today. That's it for me today. We're going to Northeastern New Pacific from our home base next time, I swear. Have a good one.